Okay, class, today we're going to learn about fractions, adding and subtracting them. And the title for our lesson is, Do we have enough to share? So, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Have y'all ever been invited to a party and maybe had to take like treats or something with you?
Yes. Yes.
And have you ever wondered like if you had to take enough, like if you had enough treats to take, or if you needed more, or you thought you were taking less?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit of how to estimate or kind of calculate how many treats you can take that will be enough. And what we're going to start off discussing is the different parts of a fraction. So, can you tell me how a fraction looks like? Can you give me an example?
1/4.
1/4. Awesome. So 1/4. So what is the top number called?
Numerator.
Numerator. Yes. And the bottom number?
Denominator.
Great. Denominator. Okay. So we have that. And I'll say that a fraction is kind of like a part of a whole, kind of like if you have 1/4, what does that mean to you? Like
Money.
money? What do you say money?
Because it's like a quarter. Yeah.
And when you add up like 3 or 4 of the 1/4, what do you get?
$1.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and kind of go into modelings now that we have the definition down. So we're going to kind of model. So I'm gonna give you guys an example. So this will be like the number type of writing. If you guys want to take notes, you're more than welcome. So you have paper and pencils with you. So when I say 3/4, that's almost like dividing, right? So if another way to say 3/4 is 3/4, but you can also write it out. So you can write out 3/4 or 3 divided by 4. You guys can see it over here. And take note of that. So are y'all done taking the notes?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to add and subtract fractions. So I have one example. I have 12/25 plus 10/25 equals, can any of you guess what that equals to?
22/25. 21/50.
21/50. So let's go with your answer first. So what do you say 21/50?
So because 12 plus 10 equals 21.
21.
And 25 plus 25 equals 50.
Okay, I see. So thing is that whenever you're adding fractions, it's a bit different. The key about adding fractions is to always make sure that you have the same denominator. We remember that denominator we said was the number on the bottom. So whenever we're adding, just as long as we have the same number on the bottom, we can keep the same number on the bottom the same. Because we're adding. It's like when we're adding quarters. We said 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4 equals a whole. Or it's also equal to 4 over 4. Because we just add the top and the numbers on the bottom, as long as they're the same, we keep them the same. So again, adding 12 plus 10 is 22. You guys kind of understand how that works, and we'll go in more into modeling it and everything. So now we're going to do is subtract. We're going to use the same numbers, but this time we're going to subtract. So we're going to do 12 over 25 minus 10 over 25 equals. Okay, so what do y'all think it is? We know, what was the rule, the first rule that we talked about as far as the denominator?
Stays the same.
Sweet. And keep it the same. That's correct. So what do you think the top will be?
2.
Yes, that's good. So it'll be 2 over 25. We said the same thing, that whenever we add or subtract, we keep the denominators the same. And the only thing we change is the numerators. Okay, so do y'all get that?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to do a little activity. I'm going to give you all these sheets so you can do an activity with them. So normally I will put these in an overhead projector, and this is what the sheet looks like. It's just different flowers and a bee, an animal, an insect, to show just a little representation of how we can work with fractions with these items.
The library is closing in 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to give each of you one. You can go, and we're going to work with the worksheets. So, okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add up the different items we have on the sheet. Can we do that, please? So add up the different items we have on the sheet and see what we have in total. Okay, put your thumb up if you already have the answer. So what do we think the answer is?
20.
Great. So right now we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back and we'll continue with the activity. Okay, now we are back from our break and we're getting back into our activity sheet. And it's this one right here that I showed you before, and it has all the images that we're counting. We have, before we went on our break, we had counted how many we had in total. We had a total of 20 items. And just a little brief explanation, my setup changed a little bit. We have Maddie that originally was on the left, she is now on the right. And I still have Sophia that was across from me, originally across from me, is across from me again. Okay, so now we're going back into the activity. So I think your ladies are actually a step ahead of me, because I was going to ask you to go ahead and tell me how much of each item we have. So can one of you tell me how many items we have of the yellow flowers. How many are there in total?
7.
Yes, thank you. And what about the purple flowers?
5.
And the bees on the bottom?
8.
Great. So we said that does add up to 20. So the reason I ask you to write and to let me know how many items there are is because I'm going to have you make fractions out of them. Well, actually, we're going to do this together so we can practice more with fractions and adding and subtracting. So, can y'all help me make fractions out of these 3 items? And we're going to do them based out of all the items that we have in total. So I'm going to get some like poster board sheet and some markers. And y'all have the images with you. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so we know we have 7. I'm going to write them on top. We have 7, we have 5, and we have 8 items. Okay, so can somebody remind me please about the total items?
20.
Okay, so what do you think I'm going to do with the 20? Any guesses?
Put it in
The denominator.
Yes. Good. Both of you did great. So I'm going to do them for all of them. So 20 on the bottom of each. So we have 3 fractions to work with. 7 out of 20, 5 out of 20, and 8 out of 20. We're just going to focus on these 3 fractions to go ahead and make subtraction and addition problems. So we're going to start off with 2 fractions first, and then we'll move on to the 3 of them. So can somebody give me one type of addition fraction? Let's go around the table. Sophia, can you give me the first one? Can you give me 2 fractions that you want me to add out of these 3?
7 20s and 5 20s.
Yes. So what do you think goes on the bottom?
20.
And the top?
12.
Yes. And how did you get that?
Because every time you're adding, subtracting, you keep the denominator is the same, and you add 7 plus 5 equals 12.
Nice. Good. Now, Maddie, can you give me the next set?
8 20s and 5 20s.
Maybe just change colors so it looks a little bit different on our camera. So you said 8 and 5, 8 20s and 5 20s, right? 8 and 5 out of 20. Okay, so can you give me what goes on the bottom?
20.
20, good. And what goes on the top?
13.
13, nice. So just so you ladies can see this. So again, how did we get this?
By adding 8 and 5 and keeping the denominator the same.
Nice. So we know the rule. We know that whenever we're adding or subtracting fractions, we have to keep the bottom the same. So keep the bottom the same. And the top we just add or subtract. Okay? That's going to be our little important type of equation to remember. Or formula to remember. Okay. So let's do, just for fun, and let's do just one last one, which is going to be the one that we have 3 of them in total. Okay, so what were our 3 numbers again? Our 3 fractions?
7 20s, 5 20s, and 8 20s.
And we're going to
Add them up.
add and subtract them. So we're going to go ahead and add them first. So what's on the bottom?
20.
And on the top?
20.
No.
You're going to take time to add them? What's 7 plus 5? We did it in the first one, remember?
13.
12.
12, right. So these 2 equal 12 plus 8?
20.
20. So what does that make?
A whole number.
Yes, that's good. That's correct. Now, before we get away from the whole fractions and adding and subtracting for this activity, we need to actually go ahead and do some subtraction problems. So this time we'll go the other way around. Maddie, can you give me a subtraction problem with the 3 fractions we had originally? Yeah, just pick 2 of them, please, and we'll go ahead and subtract the 2.